Hello and welcome to my channel. This is my second tour of my backyard, and I actually recorded this almost a month ago at the end of April, and I'm just now finally getting to finish editing it. So I'm just going around and showing how everything looks. I've moved some things around. I repotted this planter here because the soil had sunken down a little bit, so I took a cluster of that aloe and I put it in there. And all of this is, well, brand new to you, but it's been here for a couple months now. I planted some more things over in this corner to make it look less bare. And I have a naked teddy bear, Kalanchoe there. That's what that is on the left side. And I have aloes and more aloes and more aloes. And there's the blooms on this one. I did end up cutting most of the blooms off my plants. That one was chopped off. It got really tall. I would say probably about 4 feet tall. And I was just like, oh, I'm going to cut it because I don't want it to get any bugs attracted to it. So yeah, showing this little green guy there. And aeonium, another aeonium. And that aloe there, I actually have an interesting story about that one when I got it. And the guy that I bought it from at Lowe's was kind of saying that he did give it to me for a discounted price because he told me he thought it was gonna die, and kept repeating that I couldn't return it. And I was just like, okay, whatever. I didn't really listen to him. I was like, it'll be fine. And there's another aeonium there. I think it's an aeonium. I could be wrong. And a macrocarpus there. And then I have another aloe there with, gosh, I can't remember the names of everything right now. And this one has actually been growing quite a bit. It's very blue too. So I think it likes the summer heat. And yes, I say summer heat, even though technically it's not summer yet, I think. So it's already reaching 100 here in Arizona. And there's my dog, Musk, making an entrance because he wants my attention. I'm just zooming in here on all the little plants, little aloes, and my little aloe Hercules. All the little sedums. Looking good so far. And an aloe there, and sedums there. And this mangave, actually, I know it's been a month since I recorded this video, but that mangave is actually growing a lot since I recorded this video. Like it really likes the heat, I think, so it's doing really well. And those sedums are also still doing very well. They have grown so much since I planted them. And then the cactus there. More little aloes. That little aloe down there is doing well, growing slowly. I kind of tuck in some little plants here and there from whatever planters I make, and anything I have left, I just kind of use the leftovers to put in the ground, just like to see how it goes. And there's my other puppy, Waffle, and another Portulacaria, and a Trigona, and Kalanchoe, That one's doing really well. Growing a lot. Doesn't seem to get too stressed in the heat. And more aloes and sedums. I do still need to get more rocks and put them around, but I feel like when I get more rocks and I'm constantly digging things up and replanting stuff, and so I'm kind of lazy when it comes to putting more rocks because they kind of tend to get buried in the dirt and then you don't see them. So I'm trying to just leave things alone and let things be for now, because it's not cheap buying bags of rocks all the time. And so I have more aloe. That's the same cluster of aloe I had in that blue planter over there. I just kind of broke them apart and separated them. And then I have an Aloeplicatillus there and an aeonium right there that looks a little crispy. I think it needs more shade. So I'm going to have to figure out what I want to do with that one. That aloe there looks like it's getting some heat in some places, and I think it folds over to protect itself, and it seems to be doing okay. It's not growing though, so I don't know if they're slow growers or not. There's another aloe and more sedums, and I think that's an echeveria, and dead leaves everywhere from the lemon tree. And some weeds. And then the Aloe Sahara. I think this one's definitely my favorite one because it has really pretty blooms on it. And they came out pretty early and I cut them off already. So there's that. And I think that little white bluish plant there, I think it's a echeveria. I could be wrong. It's got little babies underneath it, so it's doing well. It's more protected in the shade. I have a jade plant there and a macrocarpa and a echeveria that looks really cool. Got some character. And that's what everything looks like from here. Everything looks pretty small next to the walls, but over time, as long as nothing dies, I'm hoping it will fill out. And here I have the Xanadu philodendrons. I planted 2, and they are growing kind of slow. I did want them in shade because the summers are pretty brutal out here, so it says they do like partial shade. And there's a lemon tree. I have cut it back since I recorded this video because it was just getting too low and I had to like bend over to walk underneath it. And there's a planter there with aloes. Is that an aloe? No, that's an althana. And I have a little planter bucket there with just lemons that fell off the tree and branches and dead leaves and stuff. And I put a little lantana there in the ground. It's a red one. So it has some flowers growing on it finally now. And then I just planted this Washingtonia robusta. And just kind of panning through. I'm trying to be mindful and not move around too fast because I know when I watch videos and people move around too quickly and spin a lot, I get the car sick feeling. It makes me kind of nauseous, so I'm trying to be mindful of the people like me who can't really handle watching a video and the camera's moving around too much. So I hope this is easy to watch for you guys. And I redid the drips for this queen palm. I was gonna dig it out and put that other the robusta here, but I decided not to because this queen palm is forming a trunk. So I'm holding out hope on it. It's trying. It wants to live. So I don't know. We'll see. And I dropped my phone. Just kind of fell out of my hand there. Yeah, I'll show you. Like, the trunk is starting to form there on the bottom, and there's parts of it that are green. So I said, okay, I'm just gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it and hope for the best. Still not looking too great, but it's trying. It has a will to live, so what can I say? It's forming a trunk. It's trying to do something, so I'm gonna give it its space and see what happens. I have that little hibiscus, and California fan palm has been doing amazing. It's growing so fast in the heat, and my little ginger plant there, the hibiscus in the back, the red one, and I think this is called Tacoma Red Flame or Red Bells or something like that. And red hibiscus. I'm trying again with it because I had one in the very back corner over there and it got killed by mealybugs, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully it does better in that spot. Just kind of walking around the back. Look, the king palm is doing good. This Tacoma plant is growing quite a bit. Doing well. These Tacoma plants, anytime I water them, the leaves start to turn yellow. So I water these as little as possible because I think once they're established, they're super drought tolerant and they don't like a lot of water. So yeah, this Tacoma plant does really well. I don't have to worry about it. And then this little European fan palm, very slow growing. I can't even tell if it's grown at all because it looks the same as when I planted it. And there's my little orange bush that I have there, and I planted a pendo palm recently as well. I had it right there. You can see where the dirt's kind of sunken in, and I decided to move it because I researched it, and the pendo palm, the trunk actually gets fairly wide, so I figured I had to move it further away from the curb to give it more room. And so I was able to move it before it started rooting. And yeah, it actually is doing really well. I kind of sprinkle it and it does really well. So doesn't require a lot of water at all from what I've seen so far. And I have another Tacoma there in the back that's small, and this orange tree is growing fruit all over it. I don't know if I showed in a video or not how many flowers this bush had. When spring came, this thing was covered in white flowers, and it smelled so good, like jasmine flowers, and they look like jasmine too. And now the flowers are gone, and there's just little green fruit things growing all over it. And walking back over here because I totally skipped everything on this side. I have a plumeria there and canna lilies. And I bought this terracotta planter for it. It's already so big, I'm probably going to have to buy another planter for it. And I have the red canna lily there, and this little plant here has been growing quite a bit since I cut it back. I think I showed this plant in my last backyard tour you'll see that it was all cut back and it's just like stems, and it grows back every time. It's doing really well. I water it almost every day. And see, I have my little fake planter here and my other little solar birdie light. And I have my aloes over here and cactus. Little planters I put together with little succulents. And I have the bloom on that canna lily's yellow. All the other succulents and flowers and cactus there. The sedum burrow and Athanacapensis, I think. Is that what it's called? I might be wrong. I love the yellow flowers that grow on it. There's my other little planters. Everything's been doing well. I'm trying not to make this video too long when I'm recording it, because I know that I have a lot of stuff that I'm showing here. Another canna lily, more cactus and succulents, Madagascar palm, and my dog Waffle. And Muskie. This aloe, that aloe there, actually has been getting some bug infestation, and so is this one here. This aloe blue elf. They've both been getting bugs. And yeah, I cut off the blooms and I sprayed them, and looks like they haven't really come back, so that's a new bloom. And it doesn't have any of the bugs on it. Just kind of showing everything. Yeah, all these plants have been doing well. Not a whole lot of growth on a lot of stuff, except for the flowers on the canna lilies. The blooms will be going all summer long. The canna lilies are like super easy to take care of for me, and I like them a lot. I just water them and cut them back, and they keep coming back and blooming over and over again, so I can't really kill them. And I have another yellow bell Tacoma here, and a windmill palm that's kind of buried, not really growing also. And my pygmy there, I cut it back. And then I did rearrange these plants here, all these little succulents. Some are new, some are plants that were already there, and I just kind of moved everything around to make it look more intentional, make it look like I actually wanted these here. Because before I just kind of stuck them in the ground and they looked kind of random. So I left the cactus in its place right there, that saguaro, and then the agave there. And that cactus I moved forward a little bit. It was a little bit further back, and because my dog likes to run back and forth behind there, and so I moved it forward so that she wouldn't run across it and hurt herself with it. So yeah, and there's a jade that I put there. It's supposed to grow into a full like bush, so hopefully that works out there in this spot. This side of the backyard does go into the shade first during the day when the sun goes over the backyard, because you know the wall is right there, so obviously all this stuff is going to be in the shade when the sun passes past the fence line. And there's the portulacaria and cacti. I actually took this cacti with the pups on it out and took all the pups off of it, and I'll hopefully show you all the pups that I have planted up since then. I got 11 of them, and they're really massive too. They're a lot bigger than they look. And there's another canna lily. Again, I kind of use these as like a staple in my backyard because they look tropical and they're super easy to maintain. I just water them, and when the blooms die, I cut them off, and they just keep regrowing new blooms. Except for the winter time, they kind of stay dormant, and I don't have to take the canna lilies inside because I live in Arizona, in southern Arizona, so I just leave the canna lilies out all year long, which is pretty nice, and they do well. And so it's just sits there all year with the foliage until it's springtime when the blooms come out. And there's another succulent planter that I have. This one's doing well. These little sedums, I think they're sedums in the front here with the bulbous looking leaves, they do look a little stressed right now with the heat. I think the heat kind of hits them a little bit, so I try to shade them as much as I can. And I have the Cleopatra canna lily there. Still waiting to get a bloom on this one. This one's taking a little bit longer, probably because it's in more shade. And another canna lily there. I had that one in way more shade. It was behind the AC unit most of the year, and it hasn't been growing well, so I moved it. And it's starting to finally grow some new stems and leaves on it, so I'll make sure I keep that in the sun more often. And I have this planter here, which I actually, since making this video, I repotted it, so hopefully I'll show that in another video. I replanted it and moved it underneath the gazebo because some of the like that red echeveria is super stressed, and so I moved all that. And I have the sticks on fire here with more portulacaria. That's the minima variation of that. And I have the cuttings here from the pencil cactus, and here's the lantanas that I put in here, the yellow and the purple. I didn't intentionally mean to make it look like the Lakers colors, if anybody's wondering. And I have more cuttings here. I cut those off of the big plant, and I actually repotted this one because it did grow a lot of roots, and so I filled this planter with dirt, and now it's sitting in the pot, and I'm just kind of letting it do its own thing and grow. So there's more planters here. And this one was looking super stressed at the time when I recorded it, and I did move this planter underneath the gazebo as well, and it's doing better. This one I do still have outside. Those ogre ears were looking pretty stressed, so I've been turning the planter to get less sun in certain areas, so I'm hoping that works because the heat is starting to kick up. It's getting to the 90s and the 100s every day now, so this one actually has been doing really well right here. I think it gets more shade in that spot, so I think that these succulents do better here as well. And this canna lily also isn't growing too much because it's not in the sun. And then this planter here, I actually ended up resetting. I pulled everything out and reset everything and took some of the plants from that brown planter and put them in here because everything was looking kind of wonky and the little sedums were looking super stressed too, so I just pulled everything out and redid it, and everything does look better now. So, and here is the bird of paradise. I have a brand new big leaf on here, and there's another one growing there on the bottom. There's a new spear coming out, and actually It is officially another big leaf that is unfurling right now as I speak, which is pretty exciting because I tortured this plant so bad. So it's nice to know that it still wants to live and it's doing much better now. It's had to have a lot of patience to deal with me and learning how to take care of it. So there is my lady palm. It's doing well. It likes the shade. The bamboo was falling a lot in the wind with the plastic container, so I got a nice terracotta planter and now it stays. Thanks for watching and see you next time.